Sweet Tooth by Mum Jeans, their third album. I think this is one of the few albums when people say a band has matured, I actually sort of get what people mean. James, you might not really know because I don't think you've listened to Mum Jeans before, but from Best Buds to Puppy Love to this, it is a band like maturing and growing up. I mean, there are definitely still some tongue-in-cheek things going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's sort of in an earnest, like, charming way. But I think it's a lot more few and far between rather than being the dominant feature, which was the case on previous albums. It's just a heart on the sleeve songwriting. I think it's got some of the best choruses in modern emo and pop punk at the moment, especially on What's Up. I also found that Sugar Rush, Graduate in Life, those two, along with What's Up, is like the three pillars of this album, and they each like showcased a side of this band that I love, and I can't wait to see them at Slam Dunk.
Yeah, like you said, the tongue-in-cheek feel is still there in songs like Hippo in the Water, but in a lot of it, it's actually a really heartfelt and emotional album. I like to kind of brand this as loser punk.
Yeah, I like that.
It's kind of, for me, a mix of modern baseball and Blink-182. Because you've got that kind of Midwest emo style with the hammer-ons with the guitar, but also big power chords to kind of make those choruses really sound huge. There's a really nice production style, but it still has kind of that DIY charm about it at the same time. Some lovely layering that, like I said, makes the choruses towards the end of the songs kind of sound like a huge sing-along. And throughout the duration of the album, it kind of feels like you're going from the start of a relationship with, like the quote, "Don't care if I end up with cavities," to kind of towards the end of the album, you've got "Looking back, I was so stupid" in 10 minutes. And in the closing song, Teeth, you've got "Now you're just cavities," which kind of shows that they regret going into this relationship, perhaps. So I think it's nice to kind of have that journey from the start to finish.
I like how you just look at me afterwards. I got positives, I got negatives.
It's always interesting. I like when we review stuff like this because you give a complete outsider opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm always intrigued.
And we get to have a really educated discussion with each other where we respect each other's opinions. And
Let's
don't
find
just automatically say that each other are wrong.
Yeah.
Let's
for no
find
reason.
out.
Views fans.
So a nice chilled vibe throughout. A consistent album from start to finish. I think it's very nicely mixed and produced, and it was refreshing to hear that across the album. Musically, I felt like each song was very well written, and that time and attention was spent on various things like the song structure down to smaller details like drum fills, like in Circus Clown in particular, some really nice little parts. The bit that really took me away from it in the most part, and I think it carried across most of the album, was the lyrics. And they're very, very strong and self-deprecating. And particularly
that's
like in
loser
What's
punk,
Up,
mate.
it is. But so I'm sure this is something that people can relate to a lot and draws them into this band. A bit like I'm used to that emotional stuff you get with Beartooth, a band that I have a strong connection with. I love them, but it felt like just some of the content, some of the lines were just a bit too much for me to listen to, and then it kind of made me immediately kind of draw back from it as a song, as the music. So then okay, I can't jam to this as much. So for me, it was nicer to have something on in the background with this and not spend time listening to. And I felt like that was the best way for me to enjoy this as an album, because the times I spent trying to actually listen to it, break it down and pick it apart and get a real good feel for it actually took me away from it based on the lyrical content.
That's really interesting because I think that's actually the main draw for Mum Jeans, at least from like older work, is like the self-deprecation and the, like...
It's kind of the lyrics are self-deprecating, but the sound is like happy.
You get that contrast between it, but that's
it's almost ironic, I guess.
Yeah,
like in What's Up, there's a line that's like, "I'm not quite sure why nothing makes me feel like getting out of bed," which is really bleak when you say it like that.
But with the beat and the guitar, it's like jazz hands.
Yeah, it's almost like trying to pass. It's like when you're in a conversation, you try and pass off something serious as a joke. It's like trying to let those serious comments slip through the net, which I think is like what people can relate to about it. But then if that's like what's like blocking you from getting into it, that's fair enough.
like I said, with Beartooth, I look at songs like Disease and that, like that's a big one for me, for a lot of people, and that's got a lot of emotion behind it, and it's got that kind of that feel, and it's like really is wearing your heart on your sleeve and that kind of putting your emotions all out on the table. But it just felt with some of the lyrical content on this, the lines just went a bit too overboard. And I feel like if it had pulled back slightly maybe on some of it, I probably would have really enjoyed this as a thorough album in terms of that. And it was just the musical content, lovely. The lyrics were the things that drew me out.
But yeah, I think that's their whole point though. Like the first lyric on the first album is, I think it's about time that I warned you I might cry in front of you. So I think from the get-go, they've been a band that have like,
but again, while that lyric's going on, it's like a really fun little do-do, do-do, do.